Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Dash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Okay, I wanted to go into a lesson. I got a multitude of, well, not a multitude, but I got a couple of articles that I wanted to go into, mainly all centered around, the ongoing war between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. And I'm not going to read the entirety of all the articles. I'm going to try to make this quick. Lord will, I'll probably go into it tomorrow more in detail. But I'm going to read a couple of articles. And this first one, it says from balleralert.com, Iran says U.S. will no longer be safe after strikes. It says, Iran says U.S. will no longer be safe. That message came straight from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as tensions between Iran and the United States intensified following recent U.S. and Israeli strikes. Iranian state media carried the statement, which warned that American forces would not be secured anywhere in the world, not even in their own homes. Going to show the extremity of how much this war will escalate. This is what's now being put in the mindset of these people, and all this is orchestrated by Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah, the Heavenly Father. The Lord is doing this. He's putting it in their mind to say these things and get in motion to make these things come to pass. Because even the scriptures talk about, when they talk about Babylon the Great, it talks about America, Babylon the Great, not being touched. But now it's going to be touched. Because it calls her a virgin daughter. This is Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, which is the point. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Tender and delicate meaning this place is a place where, you come and you live out your dreams. The American dream can be yours. This place, and then also too, with it being called virgin, it's not being touched. No foreign countries have had war on this place since it really got established as its own. Since America's been established as its own country, no foreign wars have been fought over here. All that's about to change. And I'm gonna get the definition of that word virgin, because the actual word virgin it has multiple meanings, but in this one it goes into something that's been untouched. So let's see. It says figuratively, city or state made virgin. Let's get down to it. Personification of nations. Let's see. Okay, here we go. A virgin, pure and unspotted, which, this is one of the definitions, as being separated and secluded from intercourse with men, meaning they haven't been touched. A woman that hasn't been touched. It also goes into a young woman of marriageable age. Because like I said, there's various definitions. But in this one, it goes into, like it said, secluded from intercourse with men. So basically it hasn't been touched, because it's figuratively speaking. But when it say virgin daughter of Babylon, it doesn't actually mean a woman. And when it means by daughter of Babylon, it means the same culture, the same customs that was done in ancient Babylon is found in modern day Babylon, which is America. That's why I call it the virgin daughter of Babylon. because it's doing the same thing. And they even have a saying, in the world, like father like son, like mother like daughter. Well, that's what's being implied here. But again, when they say virgin daughter, it means it hasn't been touched. Now, it's another one. Let me see. What is it? Is it Revelations 18? Let's see. Is it the top? Might be 17. Trying to get a quick precept. Bear with me. Which I can read this. This is Revelation chapter 17. I'm gonna just get straight to the point, verse 5. And upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. In the AMP it says, and on her forehead a name was written, a mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes, false religions, hearsays, and of the abominations of the earth. It says, I saw that the woman was drunk with the blood of the saints, the Most High's people, the Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanic, Latinos, and Native Americans, and with the blood of the witnesses of Yahweh Shah who were martyred. When I saw her, I wondered in amazement. Now, the point of this is going back to Babylon the Great. So this is another name for America, which it was a mystery at the time, because didn't nobody understand at the time what this place actually was. What he didn't understand what he was seeing, But in actuality, America hadn't been established yet. This was 2,000 years beforehand, Now it's no longer a mystery. We understand that this is Babylon the Great, and it's no longer going to be that virgin daughter of Babylon. It's not going to be a virgin no longer. It was another scripture I was trying to look for, and I can't remember. Let me get a couple precepts though. Going into Babylon. This is 2nd Ezra 16:1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Again, this is going into modern day Babylon, not ancient. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair, bewail your children and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? I'm gonna jump that. Well, no, let me go read it. It says, may any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may any once quench the fire in stubble when it have begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer. See, all this is going into the judgments Yahweh Shema Shah is going to bring on this place, And when they talk about that arrow, it's talking about a missile. Even that bow and arrow. When you shoot a bow and arrow, you can't stop it and turn it back. How much more the missiles? Because that's the modern day arrow. The mighty Lord sent up the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? See, can't nothing stop what the Lord has already put in motion. Nobody can stop what Yahweh Shema Shah put in motion. What's going on right now? Because Trump was calling for a ceasefire. And Iran, they denied it. They said, nah, it ain't gonna be no ceasefire. See, the first time they got into it with Iran a couple months ago, they called for the ceasefire and came into agreement. This time, too much damage has been done, and they ain't stopping. So now the war is escalating. So I'm gonna read 8 again. No, I'm gonna read 7 again. It says, "May one turn again the arrow that is shot up a strong archer. The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away?" So can't nobody stop what the Lord has already put in motion. And all those missiles, again the arrow, all those missiles that's been shot off. Can anybody stop what had already been done once they was fired off? No, they've already caused their destruction. And people have died. So now it's on. It says, "A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? The earth quaketh, and the foundation thereof. The sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord, and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Behold, the plagues are sent, and shall not return again until they come upon the earth." So what the Lord is going into is, this is the destruction of this wicked empire. Babylon the Great will fall, as the scriptures say, and it's going to be destroyed. And when it goes into these arrows being shot into the ends of the earth, it's going into these thermonuclear missiles. That's why every time some type of war escalate with America being involved, that's why every time that happens, people start talking about World War III. They always start talking about World War III when America gets involved, because they know that this country if it gets involved with any of these other countries on the major scale, it's going to be the end. So let's get some more articles. And I'm still trying to remember the other scripture that I was looking for. Now, this is something else I had seen. It said, "Betrayed the country. Former U.S. Air Force pilot from Indiana charged with illegally training Chinese military." So basically, it's like being charged with treason. Betraying the country. It says federal authorities have charged a retired U.S. Air Force officer who once trained American fighter pilots with training the Chinese military, Gerald Eddie Brown Jr. And it almost sounds like a Jake, but when you look at the picture, you see that it looked like an Edomite. A 65-year-old former Air Force major was taken into custody in Indiana last week. A criminal complaint charged Brown with providing and conspiring to provide defense services to Chinese military pilots without authorization in violation of the Arms Export Control Act. The U.S. Department of Justice reports that since at least around August 2023, so he done put years in, almost 3 years, Brown willfully conspired with foreign nationals and U.S. persons to provide combat Air Force training to pilots in the Chinese Air Force, known as the People's Liberation Army Air Force. So, I just read this. It said he was a U.S. Air Force veteran with 24 years of service. Brown, who served for over 24 years in the U.S. Air Force, lacked the required license from the State Department's Directorate of Defense Trades Control. Therefore, it was illegal for him to provide the training to a foreign military under the international traffic in arms regulations. And that's him. Like I never clicked on the video, but from everything I can see, it looks like this is real. Which I understood is real, but certain things you have to fact check. Well, they provided a video, but I never clicked on it. So let's get to the next one. Then it says, here's what would happen if you refuse conscription in the event of World War III. And basically what it's saying is if you refuse to draft. So again, every time there's talks about, or every time America gets involved with these countries, talks of World War III always come up. That's not by coincidence. You know, it's not by coincidence. It says conscription concerns have arisen once again in light of the U.S. and Israel's joint missile attack on Iran. Amidst rising concerns over the prospect of World War III, questions have been raised regarding the possible reintroduction of conscription. For those unfamiliar with the terminology, conscription describes the mandatory enlistment of citizens in their national armed forces. So, the draft. In the UK, this process has only been in operation twice within the 20th century via the House of Commons in 1916 and 1920, when it was imposed on all single men aged between 18 and 41 who are not eligible for exemption, and in 1939 through 1960, when it was upped to 20 years old as a minimum age. And it's funny, they said all single men. You know, that's interesting. According to a YouGov poll, however, a perfectly fair 38% of British participants aged below 40 claimed they'd outright refuse to serve if called upon by their country's leaders in a similar capacity. And let's see. I think it was another paragraph I had wanted to read, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna read. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna start here. It says, in light of growing tensions, one disgruntled ex-user wrote, "Those warmongering Brits screaming to enter another Israeli conflict. That's wow." Page just refreshed itself. It says, those warmongering Brits screaming to enter another Israeli conflict. That's nothing to do with us. Will you change your tune when your kids are dying after the mandatory conscription starts, which is the draft? Cause that's where we are headed if World War III kicks off. Another joked life of Gen Z, born just in time to invest at the top. Pandemic during our prime years. AI replacing jobs at career start age. World War III talk at the conscription age. We didn't pick hard mode. Hard mode picked us. Right. So a lot of people are actually unhappy about, especially, like you say, Gen Z, but just people in general are unhappy about the way life is going. But we at the end, you know, this is the time of great destruction. This is the time, which I'm gonna go back to it. I had already had it up, I guess, from a previous lesson. This is 2nd Ezra 9 verses 1 and 2. Well, 1, 2, and 3. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people, verse 4, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works, and ended in signs, effects, and signs. Right, so I might as well keep going. And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. So we understand the time we living in. This is the time that the Lord said he's going to bring all these judgments. This is why the men of the Lord, the prophets, have been prophesying of the destruction all this time. Now the time is coming As the scripture said, Habakkuk chapter 2, the end of the vision is no longer tarrying. Habakkuk chapter 2, starting at verse 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I should answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, which is prophecies, upon it, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it, which we have the scriptures to run to when things, to get understanding, especially when we see these signs. But even before we see the signs, we see these things happening, we run to the scriptures. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, and we are at the end. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And we enter into the time where the vision is no longer tarrying. The end of this current age is no longer tarrying. This is what we seeing. This is what we witnessing and living through. So let me get this might be the last one. It says 2 countries would survive if nuclear war that could kill 5 billion in days. Which, like I said, I'm not going to read all of it. The main point really was the topic. The title of this article. It was saying nuclear war that can kill 5 billion in days. Because it had me thinking. Matter of fact, I do want to read something. It says, let me see what the first paragraph says. Okay, I read a little bit. It says, knowing which countries might not be affected by nuclear war might be handy information to know, just in case things go quite badly wrong. It's a very chaotic and dangerous world at the moment. With Russia invading Ukraine, the U.S. and Israel firing missiles at Iran, and the retaliation on various places, along with all manner of other dangerous things. Right? What a time to be alive. But we are witnessing the end of Esau's kingdom. So that's why these things are taking place. That's why war is going on. And the Lord said that. Let's see. This is Joel chapter 3 and 10. Which I start at 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles being the natural Gentiles, the other nations. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is Yahweh Shaphat. It means the Lord's judgment. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. And this is what the Lord is doing. He's gathering all these heathen up for war. And it starts in the Middle East. But it's gonna translate to over here in Babylon the Great, America. But this is the Lord's doing, gathering these nations for war. This is how we know what time we living in. Again, what a time to be alive. It says, we don't know what will happen next, only that more people are going to die, and the possibility of further escalation is on the table, and the final, most catastrophic option looms over all. It's going to happen. The scriptures already say it's going to happen. What they mean, the catastrophic option, thermonuclear war. It's going to happen. Nuclear war that wipes out the planet is unlikely to happen soon as nuclear-armed powers aren't at war with each other. But just in case that changes, best-selling author Annie Jacobson, who penned the cherry-sounding book Nuclear War Scenario, has said only 2 countries will survive: New Zealand and Australia, which is up to Yahweh Shema Mashah, because the whole earth is not going to be engulfed by thermonuclear missiles. You know, parts of the earth is gonna be hit, but the only place that's gonna be totally annihilated is Babylon the Great, America, and Israel. That's the only two places that's prophesied to be 100% annihilated. But Israel is going to be built back up, you know, by the true Israelites, by us. Well, it's the other nations are going to build it up, but it's going to be inhabited again. But America is going to be uninhabited after it's destroyed. No one would ever live over here again, you know. No one would ever live over here again. It was something I wanted to read. I think it might be the last paragraph. It says, basically, you want somewhere out of the way of the countries that do have nuclear weapons, but it comes back to the point that you'll need somewhere that can sustain agricultural for afterwards. Otherwise, all the survivors would starve. Matter of fact, that wasn't it, but that's a good point. Okay, here it says let me see what the other one say. Okay, it says, speaking on the Diary of a CEO podcast, Jacobstein painted a grim picture of what a global nuclear war would do. As she said, around 5 billion people would be dead within the first 72 minutes. That's an hour and 12 minutes. And that's through the spirit that it was even said 72 minutes. You know, because the scriptures even say in 1 hour. 1 hour. This is Revelation chapter 18. Let me get it in a quick view. Revelations 18, 9 and 10. It's 8, starting at 8. It says, therefore shall her plagues, talking about Babylon the Great, come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord Yahweh Shemah, who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth, meaning the other nations, who have committed fornication, meaning they have dealt with America, Babylon the Great, done deals, made agreements, became allies, or just made covenants with this place. That's what they mean by committed fornication. And live deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, because America is going to be engulfed 100%. You know, it's going to be totally annihilated, according to the scriptures. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, the mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And why does it say the great city, the mighty city? Because Babylon, America, is basically one a country compiled of one, large cities. It's basically a country compiled of a bunch of cities. So that's why it's called the great city Babylon the Great. Now, let's go back. Let me do that. Revelations 18, 17. 17. For in 1 hour, so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. So all the other countries are going to see this place, see what happens to it. Verse 18, I could have just read down. And cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. So even these other nations, I'm going to read 20. It says, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High have avenged you on her. Meaning the Lord, I'm going to keep going. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at the end. So the Lord is going to bring judgment on this place for all the trouble, chaos, all the harm, oppression, everything it has done to the Israelites. The Lord is going to avenge our people, and the only way to avenge our people is by the blood of those who shed it. That's what the scriptures say. Let me get that real quick. Hold on. Numbers 28. Where is it at? Numbers 35 and 33. See, look, three U.S. embassies attacked. The war is escalating. This is Numbers 35 and 33. In the AMP, so you should not pollute and defile the land in which you live, for the shedding of innocent blood pollutes and defiles the land. No atonement, expiation can be made for the land for the innocent blood shed in it, except by the blood, the execution of him who shed it. So this is how the Lord cleanses this what he said cleanses the land. The blood of him that shed it has to be done unto them. That's the only way. That's righteous judgment. And this is the Lord's doing, So you Edomites got a lot to pay for. You got a lot to pay for, because it's been nothing but continual bloodshed of the Israelites over here. That's why we read it in Revelation, said Babylon the Great, Revelation 17, she was drunk with the blood of the saints. It's Revelation 13, 9 and 10. If anyone has an ear to hear, let him hear. He that leave into captivity shall go into captivity. And he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. But I'm going to read verse 10, the AMP. If anyone is destined for captivity, he will go into captivity. If anyone kills with the sword, he must be killed with a sword. Here is the call for the patient endurance and the faithfulness of the saints, which is seen in the response of the Most High's people to difficult times. So this is what we're living through. This is what we're seeing. And this is what's about to happen on the earth. Well, this is what's happening, and it's escalating. It ain't de-escalating. It ain't calling for peace. It's escalating. So I'm going to read this last little bit, then I'm going to close it out. So going back to the article, it says, speaking on the diary of a CEO podcast, Jacobson painted a grim picture of what a global nuclear war would do, as she said around 5 billion people would be dead within the first 72 minutes. It says, with most of the Earth's population dead and the land scorched in nuclear fire, she said one of the consequences would actually be a mini ice age. She said most of the world, certainly the mid-latitudes, will be covered in sheets of ice. Places like Iowa and Ukraine would be just snow for 10 years. Agriculture would fail, and when agriculture fails, people just die. On top of that, you have the radiation poison, because the ozone layer would be so damaged and destroyed that you couldn't be outside in the sunlight. People would be forced to live underground. That's what they showcase, in movies and video games, different shows, whatever the case may be. Now, the aftermath after the judgment, we gonna see, because we know the elect is gonna be delivered. The elect is gonna be delivered into the chariots and be in the chariots while the destruction take place of this kingdom, But as far as how everything else transpired for everyone else left on earth, it has yet to be seen. We're gonna see how it go. How the Lord deals and how he ordered it. How he ordered the capture and enslavement of the rest of the people on earth, of the heathens. We gonna see. But we do know there will be survivors of the other nations, because again, you have to have slaves in order for your kingdom to be built, and the earth has to be cleaned up. All the war, all the destruction, the aftermath, all of that has to be taken care of. And the heathens gonna get put to work to clean the earth up and get it back to the point of how it before, but actually beyond what it was at the beginning. So all these things have to take place. So there will be survivors, but when like you're going into with 5 billion people, we don't know the exact number, obviously, and they giving an estimate, but they're not too far off. It will be a depopulation on the earth. I'm gonna get this and then I'm gonna end it. Matter of fact, yeah. 2 Peter 3. Starting at verse 4. This is 2 Peter 3 and 4 in the AMP. It says insane, because this is, well, I guess I started 3. It says, first of all, know without any doubt that mockers will come in the last days with their mocking, following after their own human desires, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? What has become of it? For ever since the fathers fell asleep in death, all things have continued exactly as they did from the beginning of creation. And this has been the mindset of a lot of people, especially a lot of Israelites, coming against the prophets, scoffing, mocking, because the vision was tarrying, because it was at a appointed time. But now ain't nobody saying that no more. Ain't nobody saying that. Oh, my grandparents been saying that. People, generations ahead of them have said the end of the world was at hand. You can't say that no more. They can't mock anymore. It says, for they willingly forget the fact that the heavens existed long ago by the word of the Most High, and the earth was formed out of water and by water, through which the world at that time was destroyed by being flooded with water. See, it was destroyed by the flood at the first time, and only 8 people were the survivors. But by his word, the present heavens and earth are being reserved for fire, being kept for the day of judgment and destruction of the ungodly people. Right, so we know that the Lord is going to destroy the earth with these thermonuclear missiles, on top of the angels and the chariots, and Yahweh coming back with the lasers. Now, let me skip down. Verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come like a thief, and then the heavens will vanish with a mighty and thunderous roar, and the material elements will be destroyed with intense heat, and the earth and the works that are on it will be burnt up. Since all these things are to be destroyed in this way, what kind of people are you to be? In the meantime, in holy behavior, that is, in a pattern of daily life that sets you apart as believers, or as a believer, and in godliness displaying profound reverence toward our awesome God, while you earnestly look for and await the coming of the day of the Lord. For on this day the heavens will be destroyed by burning, and the material elements will melt with intense heat. So we know the Lord is going to destroy this earth, and he's going to destroy this wicked kingdom. Babylon the Great will be 100% annihilated, obliterated. So will our land. But our land will get built back up. This is the judgment of the Lord. So Lord will is edifying. Like I said, I'll go back into it, Lord will, tomorrow in depth. But Lord will, this is edifying. So on that note, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakapadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, GMS, that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. And until next time, shalom.